welcome to Life Talks. I'm yours truly, Dr. Ricky Allmon, and this is Leadership After Dark, where we seek to encourage and empower you to explore your potential, engage your passion, and expand your possibilities. I am so glad to be here with you tonight, to be your life facilitator, just to help you to navigate life so that you can be postured for the infinite possibilities that are in your future. Yes, I do believe that what's coming in your life is greater than everything that has already happened to your life. Do you believe that? I really hope you do. Even in the midst of a pandemic, your life is filled with possibilities. And any day now, you're getting ready to be overwhelmed with things that you never imagined in your future. Listen, I need you to do a couple of things for me, just some quick housekeeping items. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, maybe you just stopped by, you saw I was live, you like, let me listen in. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel now, like this video, leave a comment, let me know what city, what state you're representing, and then invite somebody else to join this conversation. We're only going to be about 15 to 20 minutes, but I promise you it will be the most critical and pivotal and definitive 15 to 20 minutes of your life, and it will help you to accelerate into the destiny that is already holding your future. So go ahead, subscribe to this channel now, and then while you're doing that, I want to make sure that we stay connected. And so I want you to be able to receive my Impact newsletter. I send it out not necessarily on a regular basis, but it is consistent. What I mean by that is I don't have like a set time once a week or once a month or once a quarter. But whenever I feel I have something that I want to say to you that I believe will be beneficial to you, I type it out and send it to you in a newsletter. It's an expanded form of this conversation. It allows you to dig in a little bit deeper into some of my thought processes and things that I believe will help you in life and in leadership and even in love, okay? So go ahead and text the word Ricky Allmon, no spaces, just like you see it on the screen, to 22828. You can do that right now while we're talking. And then lastly, if you want to receive notifications for whenever I'm going to be coming on live, or I've got something exciting to tell you about, which I will have something very soon, I want to be able to send you a text message so you can get it in real time. And if you want to receive text messages in real time, just text Impact Life to 31996. So I've given you two numbers tonight. I hope you got that. Text Ricky Allmon to 22828. And if you want to receive text Impact Life to 31996. I'm ready to get into our conversation for tonight. I've been chomping at the bits all day long, waiting to get to this conversation. Tonight, I want to talk about grow into it. That's what I want to talk about tonight. Grow into it. Dr. Allmon, what do you mean, grow into it? I'm so glad you asked. I don't know if you've been watching the Democratic National Convention 2020, but on last night, which was night 3 of the convention, our 44th president, Barack Obama, made a very poignant and profound statement about our current president, 46 minus 1. And President Obama said about 46 minus 1, he hasn't grown into the job because he can't. Let me recapitulate that. Our 44th president, Barack Obama, on the third night of the 2020 Democratic National Convention, when making reference to our current president, number 46 minus 1, said that he hasn't grown into the job because he can't. If there is one sentence in the English language that terrorizes me, it's the sentence, "This is how I've always been." That terrorizes me. Just six simple words, but when put together, it's an act of terror. Think about it. This is how I've always been. I know when it comes to character, we like people to be consistent. But do you really want to be around somebody who's the same as when you met them? Think about the implications of that. You hear people say, well, they the same way they were when I met them. I don't know if that's a compliment, because that means that their capacity is limited for growth. I don't want anybody around my life that's the same way they were when I met them. I don't want to be that in anybody else's life. The worst thing you could say to me is to say, you've been the same all this time. I don't want to be the same. I want something to change. I want something from my life to be challenging. One thing I've observed about this pandemic, I know that we put this pandemic in a negative context. But if we're honest about it, and this may be controversial, but this is Leadership After Dark, and this is my platform, so I can say whatever I want to say. If there's one thing I really appreciate about this pandemic, is that it has exposed capacity. I don't think you heard what I said. One thing that I appreciate about this pandemic is it has exposed capacity. Because while many people look at the pandemic as being limiting, because we've had, stay in place orders, and we've had to quarantine, and we're not able to travel like we used to, and we can't go to restaurants like we used to, and we appear to have all of these restrictions. And so because of these external restrictions, we look at the pandemic as being limiting. But the reality is, if we're honest, when it comes to the human construct, the pandemic is actually exposure. Because what the pandemic is showing is how much of you do you still have left so that you can be the rest of who you're supposed to be. Let me say that again. What this pandemic has done is it has exposed your capacity to be the rest of who you are. So if you're sitting around saying, I just can't wait till this is over so I can get back to being who I was, think about that. If that's what you're saying, then that means you fall into the category of that sentence where I'm the same as I've always been. No, I need you to understand this pandemic is designed for you to grow into it. If I can be honest with you tonight, I don't think, and I'm not being a prophet of doom, but I really don't believe we're going to get beyond this until we grow into it. Until we mature and evolve to the point where we don't go against the stay in place orders and go to places we know we don't need to be going that may expose us to something. Until we learn how to live with ourselves, in ourselves, and be the rest of who we are. You say, well, Dr. Allman, how do we do that? Well, that's the purpose of this conversation tonight. I want to show you how to live in yourself, with yourself, so that you can become the rest of who you are. But before I give you the formula so that you can become the rest of who you are, even in the midst of a pandemic, I have a very intimate question to ask you. And that question is, do you have the courage, the confidence, and the creativity to be the rest of who you were created to be? That's my question tonight. Do you have the courage, the confidence, and the creativity to be the rest of who you were created to be? This pandemic, you know what it's really designed to do? It's really designed to reveal the rest of who you are. That's really what it's about. And could it be that things are not going to change until you change? Until you would dare to begin to unpack and unearth potential that you have and passions that you have and purpose that you have that you would have never discovered if you had not been put in a place where you had to live in yourself with yourself. There are three things I want to give you tonight, and then I'll bid you adieu and let you get back to your Thursday evening. But if you're going to grow into it, if you're going to grow into the rest of your identity, if you're going to grow into the rest of your potential, if you're going to grow into the rest of your purpose, the first thing I need you to understand is that you are a tripartite being. You're made of three parts. You are spirit. That's your God awareness. You have a soul, a suke, a psyche. That's your self-awareness. And then you're in a body. That's your world awareness. Now, and I need you to get this because the essence of who you are is your spirit. You are a spirit. You're not a body first. You're not a soul first. You're spirit first. And so in order to unpack the rest of you, you know what you got to start paying attention to? You've got to start paying attention to your spirit. No, I'm not limiting this to religion. I'm not talking about church here, because you can actually go to church and be religious and yet not be spiritual. Oh boy, I could stay right there for a while tonight and next week and the next week, but that's for a whole different show that will be coming soon, by the way. But your spirit. And it's the spirit part of you that holds the rest of you. That's why some of us keep missing out on the possibilities that are in front of us, because we're trying to let our soul guide us. We're trying to let our emotions guide us. We're trying to let our senses guide us, or we're allowing our body to guide us. The external forces around us and how we respond to those things. But if you're going to explore, if you're going to unpack your capacity, I almost gave you the first key in the formula here. But if you're going to unpack who you are, if you're going to grow into the rest of you, pay attention to your spirit. Pay attention to what I call that sixth sense. Pay attention to what I talked about last week on Life Talks, voce, that inner voice That thing that speaks to you in the middle of the night. I'm not talking about after you ate too many red beans or pork chops. No, no. But that thing when you're in a moment of silence or meditation and nobody else is around you, and he keeps nagging at you saying it's time to move, it's time to make some changes, it's time to do something different. It's time to pay attention to your spirit. So there are three things I want to give you tonight so that you can grow into who your spirit says you are. Number one, you need to explore. It's time for you to deconstruct what you think should be giving your life meaning. And it's time to construct a true north for your life. Why are you here? Why are you on this planet? You've got to know that your very existence is more than just you getting a good job and having a 401k and buying a house and getting a couple of cars and hooking up with your boo. You have to know that your life has more meaning and value than that. So if you're going to grow into it, you need to explore who you are. What is your essence? What is essential for your life? What is it that's your non-negotiable? What is it that if you could only do one thing with your life, you would give your whole life to doing that? Answer those questions. So number one, it's time for you to explore your life. Number two, your exploration is going to bring expansion to your life. That means you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. That's why some of you are afraid to think beyond where you are or see beyond pandemic because you don't want to be accountable for your future. And so you feel like, well, the pandemic is holding me back. Baby, I need you to understand not being able to travel is not keeping you from being the rest of who you are. Not being able to be around people the way you want to be around them is not keeping you from being the rest of who you are. As a matter of fact, those things can assist you in being who you're supposed to be because now you have time with the most important person in your life, which is yourself. So it's time for you to expand. It's time for you to change some routines that have become ruts instead of grooves. It's time for you to break some cycles. It's time for you to change some habits. You say, Dr. Allmon, you're coming strong tonight. You bet I am. Because I'm going through this pandemic with you. But if I can make a confession tonight, I'm not the same person now that I was at the beginning of this pandemic, and it's for the better. I'll be revealing some of the epiphanies that have happened over the course of these months of pandemic. Oh, I'm not revealing them tonight. You're going to have to hold on for that because I'm going to have a platform that I'm going to use to share some of those things with you. I'm not the same person. The reason is because I've been exploring. I've been deconstructing. Not necessarily with things around me, things within me. What matters most to me? Who matters most to me? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? As a matter of fact, that's what led me to create Life Talks. It came out of exploration. And so, number one, if you're going to grow into it, you've got to engage exploration. Number two, exploration leads to expansion. And then thirdly and finally, if you're going to grow into it, you have to evolve. You have to change. Yeah, I said it. You're going to have to do some things different. You're going to have to do some things better. There are some people you're going to have to let go, and there are some people you're going to have to embrace. You're going to have to make up in your mind that there's more to you than what's around you. There's more to you than what you've already created for you. But that even in the midst of pandemic, if you're still here, there's something more that you're supposed to be doing while you're here. So that's what this Life Talks is about. It's time for you to grow into it. Don't just be satisfied with just living the same day every week, every month, every year. No, there's more that you ought to be doing. What is it that your spirit is saying? And that's what I want to close with tonight. I want to speak to your spirit, because I don't care what your religious ideologies are. All of us are a spirit. I need you to get this. That's the essence of you. That's the core of you. You're not a human with a spirit. You're a spirit being human. And so if you want to get back to what should matter to you, I need you to take some time before this week is out, 10, 15 minutes, and just sit with you and listen to what your spirit is saying. I'm going to talk some more about this, but I just wanted to whet your appetite tonight. And I just wanted to challenge you. Grow into it. There's more to you than what you look like right now. So it's time for you to explore. It's time for you to expand. And it's time for you to evolve. I see you in your future. Oh man, I wish you could see what I see. You're much greater and much better and much bolder and much happier than you are right now. I'm Dr. Ricky Allmon. This has been Life Talks. Thank you for joining me. Have a great night.